Hello, friends. Welcome to today's show. I'm Dr. Helen, founder and Chief Engagement Officer. That would be CEO of Dr. Helen Holton and Associates, and your host for Dr. Helen Speaks: Strengths, Resilience, and Leadership. It's good to be here with you today. It's always good to be here with you. Our time together highlights my day and brings joy. My number one goal is to add value to your day and leadership whenever you tune in. Knowledge is limitless and offers wealth beyond measure. Learning and doing are the keys that unlock your potential for more of what you want. I'm a lifelong learner with a firm commitment to invest time and energy to bring you relevant knowledge and information to take your leadership to higher heights. One of the most significant lessons I've learned is that the most effective leaders are lifelong learners, and who you learn from matters. It really does. The more you invest in you, by choosing to learn and expand who you are as a leader, strengthens your leadership and helps you better serve the people you lead and those that follow you. How do I know? I've helped to make it happen for more than 300 leaders and teams I've had the privilege to work with over the years, locally and globally. Continual professional development is the fuel that takes your leadership to the next level. It really does drive you forward. How you show up to equip and empower those you lead is essential to your success. There's no one that can do what you do better than you. Keep investing in you to be the best leader you can be. That's the why for Dr. Helen Speaks: Strengths, Resilience, and Leadership. It's why we show up here to help you be better. Do you have the opportunity to do what you do best every day? Every day. This is, yes, a question I ask every week, but it's more than a simple yes/no question. It's an on purpose and intentional question, full of potential to keep you moving and maintaining your best life ever, doing what brings you fulfillment, joy, meaning, and purpose in your life. That's what we're here for. Science still reports that positive, repetitive practices make a difference and add value to your life. And I preface the positive because anything that you engage in repeatedly with regularity becomes a part of who you are. And if it's not positive, it doesn't have the potential to add value to your life or your leadership. Repetition stimulates your mind and keeps you focused on what matters to you most because it lives in the front of your consciousness. Living well, loving life more, helping others, serving others, and moving forward successfully. It's a choice, but more importantly, it's your choice. You decide. Do you have the opportunity to do what you do best every day? The more you commit time for regular reflection on this one question every day, daily, it doesn't have to be for hours on end. It could be a dedicated 5 or 10 minutes that you set out to reflect on, journal about, and incorporate into living your best life. It will drive you that much closer to your shift, that shift where you experience greater alignment to achieve what you want for your life and for those you lead. So give yourself permission right now to let go and be fully present in this moment. That's right, in this moment. To think deeper, be more intentional, and do something. And in that doing something, that's taking action to move closer to your goals. How will you take action with the value you gained today? We'd really like to know. If it matters to you, it matters to us. And I'm here because I care about you as a leader and being the best leader you can be and helping you to move it forward in that direction. My purpose is to motivate, inspire, and help you engage deeper with the plans you hold for today and tomorrow. You see, your future begins right now in this moment. And everything you want is waiting. It's just waiting to be birthed, nurtured, awakened, developed into existence, into your reality. That's the path of transformative work that we at Dr. Helen Holton and Associates engage in every day and have the privilege to witness life-changing results with leaders like you. Now, before we jump in, make sure you've got something handy to capture your thoughts, questions, ideas, aha moments, and you can capture them practically anywhere these days: a notebook, a journal, tablet, smartphone, even the back of an envelope. As you see, I was pressed to do some things and I grabbed an envelope and captured some notes that I needed to take while I was watching, learning, and growing. It all works. Capture them so you can easily refer back to them, share reflections with yourself. You don't necessarily have to share them with someone else, but it's good when you do because it gives you another level of feedback, and expand your thinking and continue to build your life. Powerful. Not only does it build your life, but it develops your leadership and your legacy, that which you leave behind. Which brings us to today's topic. What's your communication style? And that's a biggie. Now, in this season of professional growth and development through conferences, summits, networking events, conventions, all those things, how much time have you spent dissecting your takeaways and value gained? Every keynote speaker or panel discussion, underneath everything else, is really a reflection of the communication skills each presenter puts on display, with the primary goal, first and foremost, to get your attention. And once they've gotten your attention, they want to hold on to your attention. So whether their outcome is to inform, entertain, persuade, or influence, the one thing they don't want is to lose your attention. According to Forbes magazine, the number one fear for the average person is public speaking. Approximately 70% of us have fears or anxiety presenting or speaking in public. I mean, number two to the number one fear is death. So give that some thought. I'm pretty certain you've heard that a time or two. And if not, here it is. Yes, fear of speaking in public, the number one fear people have most. What does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Everything. James C. Humes, a former presidential speechwriter for President Eisenhower, Dwight D. Eisenhower, said, "The art of communication is the language of leadership." The art of communication is the language of leadership. Your communication skills are a crucial component of your leadership success. One of the greatest pain points of leaders is around communication and clarity and cohesiveness. And it really all comes down to, how do the messages I convey land to drive us forward. So the impact of communication on your leadership is something I've been working with leaders to better understand and improve who they are as communicators and how it resonates or impacts their team or organization. Think about what it's like when you're attempting to convey ideas, opportunities, or threats even to your team, organization, or an audience seeking to learn more about you and your expertise as a leader. Is a big deal. Having clarity, command, and confidence of your ability to deliver results makes a difference. Let's look at some ways that you can review, reflect, and recalibrate where your communication skills are and how to become a better leader who speaks with the ability to command the room. Leaders who effectively deliver impactful information to move audiences forward, whether it's your team, your stakeholders, your organization, whatever. When you speak, you want to deliver impactful information that they will remember and rely on or come back to. And moving audiences forward, I've come to learn, happens best when you blend messaging with rhetoric. And messaging and rhetoric aren't the same thing. And we won't go into that now because I really want to get to the points of how you can focus on mastering your communication skills overall. It takes time, number one. It does not happen overnight. How do I know? Because I've been there. How do I know? Because I experience it and I help others overcome it and improve. But it takes time and it takes practice. Do you think that every orator, even Martin Luther King, during the March on Washington, yes, he had a message that he'd worked on, that he practiced, that he was familiar with. But I want to tell you, when you practice your message and you're really clear on it, when you're delivering, sometimes there's a magic that happens that takes you off your script, takes you someplace that is from the heart, that you really begin to express the essence of what brought you to deliver that message in the first place. So it takes time, it takes practice, and sometimes it takes coaching to excel as a communicator. Going back to public speaking is the number one fear that most people have. 70% of the people on this planet who stand up before an audience public to speak have sweaty palms, racing heartbeats, all sorts of things that go on. So keep these things in mind. So let's jump in. Number one, if you want to command your communication and to be more impactful, you want to understand your audience. So before you begin to craft your message, you want to study, investigate, look at who will you be speaking to. Now, if it's your own team, you may want to delve a little deeper. You know who your audience is. If it's your organization or members of a professional organization you belong to, an audience of stakeholders, you want to know, what are their interests? What are their needs, concerns? What's their knowledge level? A rule of thumb that's really helpful when you think about knowledge levels, to keep your language simple. I think there was a book that was, in simple language. You want it to be simple enough for a fifth grader to understand. And in that way, unless you're a rocket scientist and you're talking to a room full of rocket scientists, then yes, you can speak in a more resonant language of your audience. So whichever it is, it's important to know, to understand. You gain a deeper understanding of your audience's values, aspirations, challenges, and knowledge level. When you do that, it helps you tailor a presentation that resonates with who they are and what their needs are. And although you are the leader, tailoring your message captures their attention, their interests, and a sense that you're focused on them. I love Maya Angelou, who said, and I say this, but it's so true. People may forget what you say. People may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Yeah. Number one, understanding your audience. Number two, define clear objectives. Determine specific objectives you want to achieve. Are you seeking to inform, inspire, persuade, motivate, or a combination of those? When you have clarity on your goals, it helps you to clearly define your intentions. Are you looking to inspire innovation, to foster collaboration, or lead a strategic shift? Your clarity will guide your content and your approach. You got to do your homework. You don't just plan to speak before an audience, and because you may be an expert and bring your knowledge and expertise. However, you want to make sure it's in alignment with your audience, for sure. So be clear on your objectives. Number three, you want to craft a strong core message. Develop a concise core message that houses the main points you want to convey. And you want to weave throughout what you're talking about with compelling stories. As I said, the last couple of weeks I've been on the road in meetings and listening to speakers, and I was there, and I'm kind of always subconsciously, but for whatever reason, I was consciously focused on the speaker, their expressions, their engagement with the audience, crafting a strong message and the stories they told to make it stick, the points that they were making. When your core message houses the main points you want to convey, you want to make sure it's easy to understand and memorable, and weaving in real life stories, anecdotes, and examples. And I say that because stories engage our emotions and humanize your content. Even if you're a rocket scientist, there might be a story. I was watching a segment on the news, and there was a former astronaut who started a museum and program around art and space. And it made me stop and listen to what she was saying and how she's connecting arts, drawing, painting, the visual with visions from space. And then going a step further to help young people design art. And then as an astronaut, of course, she knew some place where she could get like a spacesuit design and having that art put on that spacesuit. And I thought, how original and unique. So think about this. When you start off with your message, you want to begin with a compelling point that grabs their attention. Attention grabbing. You want that introduction to say, whoa, to say, oh, let me tune in a little deeper. Like a surprising fact, a recently released research result that serves as evidence of your main points that your talk's going to reveal. It could include startling statistics or questions, a poll for your audience, something that's going to engage them to what you're saying, doing, and being. Number four, you want to close with impact. I mean, impact, something that's going to leave them with a strong call to action and with a powerful and memorable conclusion. Encourage your audience to take action. And you want to be specific in those steps based on the information you've just been sharing with them, which goes back to understand your audience. How are you going to craft your message to make sure it lands with your team? Maybe it's about the strategic planning you're getting ready to go into for a new year. And you want to make sure they get on board with a new direction or shift or a total 360 or 180. You want to leave a lasting impression. You want to leave them wanting more and thinking about how they walk away with your message and integrate it into who they are and their life and how they make a difference. A lasting impression. Now, the last thing you want to do, you want to solicit feedback and create space for them to adapt after delivering your message. Gather feedback from your audience. And yeah, you can do a poll, you can use different apps and things to get quantitative data. You want to focus on delivering that qualitative, getting that qualitative feedback. Get their words, feel their emotions. So afterwards, you want to get off stage or after the meeting, identify a couple of people that maybe you noticed were really engaged, or maybe you noticed they weren't so engaged. You want to assess what worked well. What types of things could you do to improve? This is good intelligence to help you to refine your message content and delivery, should you need to use it again, and to improve your communication skills overall. So what does that look like if you enlist the power of a coach? And I've done that. I can be heavy in data and information. And after spending a couple of decades as an elected official, I realized I became very insular, less focused on sharing my stories. I developed sort of a defensive exterior to protect me from attacks. And so I got a coach because I wanted to begin to open up and share out of the wealth of information and knowledge and insights I gained working with leaders and helping them to take their leadership, their business, their nonprofit, their school, whatever the case may be, to the next level, to develop their team to be more effective and impactful in delivering on the vision and the goals of the organization. So making your leadership more intentional means taking a good look at your communication skills. One of the things that was really challenging for me is I've always been a much better extemporaneous speaker. I think about those shows where they ask you a question and you don't know where it's coming from and you've got to respond. Oh, here you go. What's the show that Steve Harvey, oh my goodness, now I can't think of the name of it. It's their teams and they're competing and 100 people were polled. Yeah, it'll come to me. It's one of those things I do to, I don't want to say mind numbing, but decompress, is to watch Family Feud. There you go. Be intentional. Moving from being extemporaneous to really crafting that message. What is the opening? What's the main guts of it? What do I want to leave the audience with behind? When you feel like you're speaking always in response to people's challenges, issues, complaints, it can taint you a little bit. However, there's always a silver lining in that to help you rise to the occasion and flip that so that what you end up doing really becomes very powerful and meaningful to the people you're speaking to. There's always room for improvement. I've been a speaker for decades. And as I grow and continue to evolve as a leader, I continue to assess the effectiveness of my communication skills. Warren Bennis, a pioneer of the contemporary field of leadership and the founding chairman of the Leadership Institute at the University of Southern California, said, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. At Dr. Helen Holton and Associates, we help drive leaders, visions, and teams forward. And it begins with communicating. How are you communicating? Communication, like public speaking, is one of the greatest impediments of success among leaders and their teams or organizations. What we know, or because we know that everything rises and falls on the shoulders of leaders like you, communication is key. Communication drives your leadership. What will you do to keep your communication skills at the top of your command to carry your leadership forward? What will you do to keep your communication skills at the top of their game, adding to them, changing some things, picking up new things? How will you take it to the next level? Leaders drive visions forward. Your ability to effectively communicate your vision with clarity, to build consensus and cohesiveness for your team or organization, makes the difference in your success as a leader. We need each other to survive and thrive in this world. None of us can claim that we achieved any measure of success without the input of other people. That's part of the grand design of creation. The interconnectedness of who we are as humanity and what we each do to optimize your presence as a leader culminates in you living your best life. And it's closer than you may think. We must embrace being bolder and more daring to press forward to achieve our dreams. It's not driven by a clock or a calendar. It's driven by your mindset to move forward. And when you really embrace that, it's your mindfulness, gratitude, and love for who you are and what you do that makes a difference in the world. This is the fuel that drives you to move from here to what's next. It's just that simple. What are you willing to do to take the next step? And that's why we're here at Dr. Helen Holton Speaks, Strengths, Resilience, and Leadership, to bring you multiple ways in which you can shine and drive your leadership forward. What will you do next to improve your communication skills? Now, here is the moment that I must stop, pause, give that shameless shout out of love, respect, and appreciation for the team that fuels the steam of Dr. Helen Speaks. We thank you for showing up to support what we do collectively in our roles to make this show possible. I'm better able to show up and serve you because of them. And our purpose is to bring you insightful and intriguing information to help drive your leadership to the next level. What keeps you moving forward from here to what's next? I'll tell you. Dr. Helen Speaks. Join us live every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be here to help you move to the next level, whatever that entails for you. And you can catch our replays on our YouTube channel. Find us at Dr. Helen Holton. We're there, and every episode we've ever done is there. And we look forward to seeing you. I'm Dr. Helen, your host for Dr. Helen Speaks. See you next week.